What's going on, guys? Perfect 10, issue 1, and this is like a favorite series of mine as far as the indie comics are concerned. I really like what Dave Brink has done with this, and I have been a fan of his ever since issue 1. So I'm very much looking forward to continuing on with this series. So, like I said, Dave Brink is our creator and our writer. Pal Rodrix is the pencils and ink. So our story starts off. We have a naked woman here, and we are going to Austin Powers this, by the way. Every chance that there's a possibility of nudity, something just so happens to get in the way, and that is something I find truly amusing. But she is being woken up by the scientist, Professor Pratt, we'll just go with. His first name is Virgil, so I may go in and out of saying Virgil and Pratt. That is the same person. But this young woman, her name is Ten, and we're going to find out all sorts of things about her. Basically, he's in a panic. He's like, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. And it doesn't matter. There's this big werewolf thing that comes crashing into the room, and he's ready to just fuck up everybody in this room. Now, Ten kicks in, and she immediately counters and throws, she gets on his back and grabs like an electrical cord and zaps his ass. And again, every chance that there's potential for nudity, everything gets covered up. Just truly amusing how we avoid all of that. So he's incapacitated for the moment. They run off. Pratt is just like, we can't stay here. We gotta get going. They make their way. They see another, again, Austin Powers bit here. Another naked person. He's been slashed. He's dead. He's gone. And she's like, what's going on? And he's like, well, it's going to be the same thing that happens to us if we don't continue on. They hear a scientist being attacked. He's getting thrown over. And we see three villainous characters. We have Busybody, Chernobyl, and Porcelain. I really like the design of these characters, especially Chernobyl, and what he is capable of doing. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like Mr. Freeze from the animated Batman show, just, a lot bulkier, but that like dome right there, and just like if they made him radioactive. It's a pretty cool design. I really like this. Porcelain here reminds me quite a bit of Edward Scissorhands with all like these little circles all over what looks to be a leather outfit. So Chernobyl goes ahead and zaps this poor scientist with some radiation, and then they spot Pratt and Ten and decide to pursue them. And Virgil, he's just like, no, we're out. We're gone. We got to get going. His whole thing is just trying to get to safety. They come across some of the guards for this bunker base that they're in, and Pratt gives them a heads up as to what's coming. He's like, we're attracting attention, so it's short to follow, but we need to get 10 armed up. So they get into an armory, and unfortunately the poor guards, they're not able to get into safety. Pratt, he closes the door. He's like, they're as good as dead. We don't have time to try and play hero right now. Right now, 10, we just need to get you armed up. And we get a little demonstration of Busybody's powers. And she basically puppeteers these people. And I really find it kind of interesting. So they're kind of collapsed on the ground, but she raises them back up, turns their guns towards one another, and blasts them in the head. So pretty cool power set. I really like that. And this kind of irritates Chernobyl. He's like, yeah, did you happen to notice the iris scanner? We kind of need them in order to get through to the armory here. And apparently this is where Porcelain comes into play, because she is able to get through thick reinforced structures. We don't really get a good example as to how she's able to do that. We're just told that she can. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. We'll go with it. Meanwhile, back with Ten and Pratt. Ten's she's not exactly the most impressed with the outfit. She's commenting on how it's very tight and stuff like that. And more or less, what we're getting is this is kind of similar to the uniforms that Edna from The Incredibles gets the family there. It's very stretchy material and is able to withstand quite a bit of abuse. So that's the short and skinny of what this uniform is. And she's just trying to figure out everything, like why are these people breaking in? And Pratt's like, I will explain everything, but for the moment, just get the damn suit on. Just he's very much in a rush, and I do like a lot of his decision making within this. For example, just closing out those guards. He's like, yeah, they're done for. We don't need to try and play hero. We just gotta keep moving. So now we cut over and we see a man painting some figures, and we find out quickly his name is Max, and he is being given the situation at the bunker here. We see that there's a bunch of characters who are superpowered, including 10 here, all within the facility, and he wants to know the status of his staff there, and only one survivor, and that's Pratt. And so he then goes on to accept the call from the president, and that's where we leave Max for the moment. Cut back over here, and here's a part where I have a little bit of issue with some dialogue here, and I'll go on to explain. So let me just read this real quick. It says, good thing these particle pulse handguns can be set to stun, unlike the motley crew of maniacs who have it out for us. And then cut over to this next panel. I'm not into killing. Now, it's a little clunky to me. It's not the worst dialogue I've ever heard, but this could have been a little bit more show and not tell. Just have us see 10 going through and just setting it to stun, and just letting Virgil understand that that's what she's doing. And he's kind of panicked, and what we're seeing is he wants to just deal with the threat. And so he's like, why would you do that? And then, still have her explain, I'm not into killing, kind of thing. So yeah, she's dishing out all this. We see Porcelain's going after Pratt. 10 protects Pratt from getting killed, but that opens her up to an attack from Chernobyl, and now she's at his mercy. And now, Chernobyl is giving us reason why they're attacking, 10 and others like her. It's because she's an assassin, and she's been sent out to go kill a bunch of superpowered individuals, who are a little bit more villainous. And so he refers to it, he's like, my kind. So he's talking about how they're going out and killing a bunch of these superpowered individuals. They tracked them down to where they reside, and that's what they're there for. And he's getting ready to blast her and just see how much radioactive blast she can withstand before she's dead. But then he gets a little mine stuck on his back, and all sorts of metal gets attracted to that. And I'm going to talk more about this later, but I really like what Pratt did here. And so this allows them to make a getaway. Chernobyl's still able to fire some radiation, but he misses, and he contacts Stock and tells him to get with the Bruiser brothers and hunt them down, because 10 and Pratt are on their way. And so over here, as they're running, 10's like, why can I not remember any of this? And Pratt says, yeah, well, we have your memory wiped after every mission, and this pisses 10 off. She stops, slams him into a wall, and confronts him. And they have it out. He's like, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It got out of control. And she's like, well, now I got to spend the rest of my life running. What kind of comfort is that? And if I'm only to survive just so you guys can wipe my mind and have me assassinate the people who are currently attacking us, then I'd rather just die here. And so this leads Pratt to kind of explain the whole situation. And this all started because his wife was, she'd succumbed to like an illness, or she was diagnosed with an illness that basically removes her flesh, as far as I'm understanding. He gets into trying to figure out how to duplicate human cells and tissue to kind of counter this. He runs out of funds. He gets into a meeting with Max and now is enlisted in Division M. And everything's going good. They're making progress, but unfortunately, it's just not fast enough, and his wife passes away. About a year later, he's pretty much just given up, and a year later, he's consulted to come back to Division M and see what kind of progress they made, and we see all of these humanoids, and they convinced him to get back on board and that they're going to be part of the Perfection program. And then we get some explanation as to what's what. So we have heroes out there doing good and, fighting justice, for justice and all that against like villainous characters. And when they get captured, they get put in a prison. However, there are some villains who are just too powerful, and they felt that need to be dealt with beyond the judicial system. And so they created these assassins to go out and deal with those people. And that's what 10 is part of. And now, 10, she's feeling pretty bad for Pratt. She apologizes for what happened to his wife. And all of this gets cut short because the Bruiser Brothers are there and they're stalked back there. Fight breaks out. Everybody's fighting. Poor Pratt, he's got a little chokehold going here. He's trying to tell 10, hey, you can summon weapons from our armory because of your suit. You just got to think of it. And he didn't get it all out, but he gets enough of it out. But he gets slammed down, and I thought he was dead right there. I mean, this is a big guy just slamming him down onto the ground. But he does live, I will say that much. 10 gets a beating, and now it's a 3-on-1 fight. Not that Pratt was really going to be able to do a whole lot, one-on-one. He took advantage of Chernobyl just because his Chernobyl's attention was focused on 10, and he was able to take advantage with some cleverness, but he's not exactly a skilled fighter. So it's always been kind of a 3-on-1. But yeah, 10 is able to get a gun and just fucking kneecaps everyone. And, that's gotta fucking hurt. This allows her to at least grab Pratt, make a getaway, and we see our werewolf guys now picked up the scent for Pratt and 10. He goes on the hunt. 10 and Pratt make their way outside. A ship comes on down, and we see Max is in there. And Max does care about whether or not Virgil's in good shape or not. So once he gets those two secured on board, we see the wolf right there. Max gives the signal to go ahead and blow up the bunker. Now, because the bunker's been blown up, 10 can no longer summon the weapons. The bunker was in the armory. The armory got blown up with everything else, so she has to boot the unwanted passenger off. And so off he goes, and they make their getaway. And so everything looks to be all hunky-dory. Pratt starts to wake up a little bit and says just to call him Virgil because now they're family. And that is where issue 1 ends. And there's a whole lot that I really like about it. There's a few issues. Mostly just there's like some spelling issues. Let me see if I can find it real quick. There was only one that really kind of stood out to me. Yeah, right here, actually, right on the last page. He's like, you killed everyone, and it says here. Here was no one else. I'm like, well, obviously that's there. So little spelling error. That was really the only one I picked up on. But Virgil was kind of my standout character. He did a lot of really clever stuff. He wasn't trying to waste a lot of time. He was just like, okay, bad guys broke out. We gotta rescue who we can. Ten's the only one left. Let's go. He wasn't trying to save anybody else. Like 10 was very important, and he showed that that is like his main mission. He didn't deviate from that. He did everything he can to save her. If he had guarded, the guards as allies, he was willing to have them. But the second that they got attacked, he was quick to shut them off. Also, one of the things I really liked, let me go back to that page with Chernobyl, is I really like what he did here. He didn't really try to blow up Chernobyl because my assumption is the dude's made of radiation. They're alive. They might not be alive if he gets blown up. So he puts a device on him to slow him down. And that I thought was really smart. Now, once they leave the bunker, yeah, it's okay to blow it up. Everybody's in there who's dead, and the rest are just villainous characters anyway. I do like that we have the assassin. Now, I will say, 10 kind of reminds me a lot of like Jason Bourne. She's the assassin, has no memory of anything prior, but knows a whole lot. Like she's relying on instincts, much like Jason Bourne, and starts to piece together things. But she is kind of yelling at Max here. I forgot to mention this about blowing up the facility while there's people there, and he's calming her down. Like, hey, look, everybody was dead who worked there. We've already secured, and we did see that. Like, we know he's not bullshitting. He tried to figure out how many people were alive. He's like, I could have blown it up earlier, but I wanted to get you guys out. And those bad guys, well, they're basically like cockroaches. They're going to survive a whole bunch of stuff. So he was a little more nonchalant about them, and understandably, they're attacking the facility. The whole reason that got blown up was because they're attacking. But I do like that she is trying to save lives, where normally, under normal circumstances, she's trying to end everybody. So I do like her as our protagonist, but like I said, Virgil was more of my standout character, and at this time we don't know a whole lot about Max, so I can't really say too much. I mean, he came in, he saved the day, got him out of there. For now, that's good enough. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot for me to gripe about. Like I said, some slight clunkiness in dialogue and a few little misspellings there. Other than that, it's a pretty solid book. I'd say minimum 8 out of 10 kind of book. So take that for what you will. I mean, this is a story and a series that I very much recommend, especially for big superhero power like team ups like this. I think we got a lot going, and as we could see, a lot of really good artwork. And yeah, we're toying a little bit with nudity, so I mean, probably more intended for teenagers. I don't know if I would have young kids doing that, but yeah, we got some really cool character designs. Like I said, Chernobyl was probably my most favorite as far as the way he looked, but that's not to say that everybody else looked like shit. Like, I thought her power set, Busybody, I thought that was one of the better power sets. I can't recall seeing that where she's like making strings and puppeteering people. That's a pretty cool way to go about that. So I really like the creative designs and things of that nature. So highly recommend this series, and definitely want to go check that out. You can follow the link in the description where you can get a copy for yourself, or at least 2 to follow should a second chance campaign arise. But that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.